Parks, schools, restaurants, and more, Assembly Row gets high scores. We're a thriving city with so much to do. On Boston Harbor, in our view. Politics, cannabis, controversial stories, heroes, villains, who gets the glory? 50 plus languages in Somerville is spoken. Sanctuary city, there are no free tokens. History in Somerville stays alive. In All-American City, we won 3 times. Somerville connects. Somerville connects.
Welcome to another edition of Somerville Connects and Dead Air Live, the longest live-running TV show in America. Today, we have the most beautiful and talented Isadora Velazquez. She is an immigration lawyer, and we are going to talk about immigration today, immigration law. I'm very excited to have you. Welcome, Issa.
Very excited to be here. Thank you for such a nice introduction. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, is your name Isa or Issa?
Well, my name is Isadora, but that's a mouthful, so everyone calls me Isa. It's easier to pronounce.
Beautiful. So, Isa, our viewers and listeners, we don't know a whole lot about you, but I know that you're talented, and I know that you're helping many people in the world with helping them to re-enter the United States. Tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, and what has led you up to this wonderful place in your life.
Well, I had the privilege of being born in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico, where I'm from, but my mom is an immigrant. She's from Venezuela. And although I lived most of my life in Puerto Rico, when I was a teenager, I moved to Miami to basically go to undergrad. And in Miami, for the first time ever, I learned about the immigrant life, what it was like to be here in the U.S. without status, people that wanted to come and visit. I never appreciated it being born in Puerto Rico with U.S. Citizenship. I never understood it. So I decided to go to law school, basically because all my friends in Miami, I admit, were immigrants. I went to law school in Pennsylvania, and although I love Pennsylvania, I missed the sun. So I came back to Miami, but I wanted to practice something that not only helped the immigrant community, but also helped me be all over the U.S. because it's a great country. So immigration law was the best choice for me. Been doing it for over 13 years, and I definitely love it.
I'm sure you are absolutely fabulous at it as well. So tell us about, I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can take it to wherever you want. What are the new changes to immigration law?
So the administration, the current administration we had, the Trump administration, issued over 400 executive orders that were very strict with immigration overall. And they basically tried to not only get rid of illegal immigration, but put severe restrictions on legal immigration. What we've seen right now in the proposal for the upcoming President Joe Biden is a return to the policies that we had during Obama. These policies focus more on, when it comes to deportation, people with criminal records. Right now, under the current administration, everyone is a priority. By everyone, I mean anyone who might be in the U.S. illegally. And understand that being here legally is a crime, and that's understood. But there's some people that should definitely have a greater priority. Joe Biden wants to go back to that specific type of people, basically put people that have committed crimes, people that should be deported, as a top priority instead of everyone and separating families with no need. That's on the illegal immigration side. On the legal immigration side, what we've seen is a severe backlog, and that's mainly due on where the resources are going. Most of the money is being spent on investigating people, seeing if they're coming here illegally, basically on the assumption that everyone's lying. So we want to go back to the old ways in which it's understood that people bring their evidence and we use common sense to see if it's legitimate or not, if they qualify for a visa, if the marriage is real, whatever the circumstance may be. So now we're hoping that if the resources are properly allocated, we can expedite cases. The wall is done. We're going to stop building that. And a very controversial program is in jeopardy. It's called MPP. MPP forces people to stay in Mexico while they wait for the asylum. So you show up at the border, you have a legitimate case, you're doing legal immigration, you tell the officers, I'm seeking asylum, and they force you to stay in Mexico. The circumstances have been terrible for people staying there. They get mugged, they get kidnapped. It's been very dangerous. So that's one program that Joe Biden has mentioned he'll get rid of in the first 100 days. It's going to be very interesting to see, but we expect many more changes. Like I said, it's over 400 executive orders. So this is going to be tough, but it's going to be worth it.
I don't even know where to begin. So many questions. I guess what you're saying is that you are welcoming the new administration because it's going to be easier for you. Is that correct?
It's interesting because the current administration has been, we could say selfishly, great for business because we've been really busy, but busy in the sense that we would go to sleep one day and wake up and the law would be completely different. So an advice that I would give a client one day as to how to move forward with their case, the next day is completely different because a new executive order came out and it was completely blindsided by it. So mainly what I'm looking forward, more than it being easier, it's more stability, knowing that this is the law, this is where it's going, and an actual push to follow it. If, for example, people have maybe followed Supreme Court decisions, may have heard of the DACA Supreme Court decision, in which the Supreme Court said that that particular program, for people that may not know, DACA is a program that allows children that were brought here when they were minor, basically against their will, they have their children coming with their parents to stay here, doesn't grant them any status, just gives them the ability to work and study. That's it. So that case went to the Supreme Court because the administration wanted to get rid of it. The Supreme Court said, you can't get rid of it. You would assume then that the government would enforce it, it would continue. That didn't happen. So what I'm looking for more in this current administration coming up is stability, knowing that the laws will be followed and that there's an actual push, if there's going to be for change, in a proper way instead of just being blindsided every day by something new.
Are you helping to bring children and their families together? Is that all part of what you do with immigration law?
So part of, when it comes to children, there's two issues that we had. During the Obama administration, we started seeing a lot of children showing up at our borders alone. That became a problem, a very severe problem. And there were laws, executive orders also issued, particularly for those children who came along so they could have some benefits. So we do that in my practice. We continue that because that's still in the books. But a new problem that we face is in 2017, we started seeing the family separation. I believe that's when it started. I'm sorry, my year is not accurate. But family separation has been huge because up to this day, we have over 500 children that we don't know where the parents are. So these are children that we're not saying they're not with their parents, but we are worried because they're nowhere in the system. Maybe they're with their parents and they're living, trying to hide themselves. Maybe they are in foster care. We do not know. It worries us. It's very worrisome that the system was not done properly. So I'm not going to take credit. There are many attorneys working very hard to have some accountability and to find out what's happening with these families. The government has sent people to some countries, knocking door to door, trying to find their parents. Some parents were deported. Some children are here with sponsors. We just want some answers. But that has been a completely new challenge that we face this year that we're still trying to get over it. And it's probably going to take a year or two more, if not longer.
Do you have many sleepless nights because you want to bring families together? This must be very, very hard on you.
I do, but it's a balancing act. Luckily, I do love my job. I love it because I think this country is amazing based on how diverse it is. And I think it's very welcoming. It's one of the many reasons why I love the US. So I like to be part of the welcome team and trying to help people come here. My sleepless nights are based on the family separation. Definitely has been a big issue that keeps me up at night. But it's not only with the children coming in being split at the border, it also happens locally. Simple, right now during the pandemic, most of our, I shouldn't say most, but I believe a high amount of our essential workers are undocumented immigrants who are working at the farms, who are driving our trucks, they're working at our stores. They're undocumented immigrants and they're essential. These people, when they go to work every day to give us what we need daily, these essential workers are facing a potential deportation. They're targets. Like I mentioned at the beginning, everyone here under the current administration, everyone's a priority if you're here illegally. I'm not justifying illegal immigration, but I am mentioning that it does keep me up at night when I have hardworking families who might be split up at any minute. And when I get a phone call telling me that somebody has been cut by ICE, sometimes the resources are very limited. So that keeps me up at night. But luckily, like I said, I like what I do. And when we win, it's very, very sweet.
So, Isa, is there a big difference between immigration law, let's say in Florida, and I live in Massachusetts, or is everything all the same?
When it comes to the law itself, it hasn't changed in over 75 years, and it's the same everywhere. I have the privilege because I do immigration law. Although I'm barred in Florida, I can go to Massachusetts and represent people there. What changes is how it's applied. For example, some crimes make you subject to deportation, but the crime might be written in the federal code and be completely different in your state code. So if you were convicted under a state statute, I would come in, review the law. Why were you convicted? Try to distinguish it. That's where differences come in. Some places might criminalize, for example, marijuana. Others don't. But in the federal law, it's a crime to have marijuana. So it depends. So that's where I will go in and say, well, in this state, it's not illegal to smoke a joint. And in Florida, it is. So you will be subject to deportation in Florida, while you might not be subject to deportation in Colorado. So those are the differences. It's more based on local law. Locally, I can practice it everywhere because it's under immigration law, which is federal, but the local definitely changes.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you an example here. Maybe you can help out. I have a friend who lost his green card status. He lives in another country, and he did not reapply. And he has child support here in America. And he also has a warrant for his arrest for theft under $100,000. Is this something, can he ever re-enter the United States? He's making good on his theft and he's in touch with all his children. Will he ever be able to re-enter the United States and regain his status as an American citizen?
So the answer is yes. A little tidbit, I guess a little trivia is once you're a permanent resident forever. The name says it. You're a permanent resident. No one can take away your residency unless it's a judge through removal proceedings. However, if you, like your friend, go to another country and stay for over 6 months, there is an assumption, actually it's over a year, there's an assumption that you abandoned your green card, but it's an assumption that you have to overcome. For example, I have many elderly clients who leave and go to other countries for medical treatment. And when they come back, it's been 2-3 years that they've been out of the country for this medical treatment. But because it's an assumption, we have been able to fight against immigration and show it is assumed that they abandoned, but they never did because maybe they still file taxes. Maybe they still had a property here. Maybe they have a bank account. You're telling me that your friend has child support and he's close to his family here. So he is able to show certain ties to the US in which he's still a permanent resident. He has to fight it, but it's a fight worth having. Now, let's say he gives up on this fight. He doesn't want to deal with it anymore. He has children who are US citizens. Children can petition for parents as long as they're over the age of 21. So he can start all over again. He can have his children petition for him. The warrant for his arrest will be held against him, but it seems to be a minimal amount, and petty theft is actually an exemption. So if he words it correctly, I know it might sound like something a lawyer would say, but I do encourage your friend to seek an attorney to help him with this. So if with an attorney helping him, he can explain that this is a minor issue. When it comes to child support, he can show that he's up to date, and he can have either a petition from his children, which might be the best choice, or fight for the green card that he already had.
Beautiful. This is a great answer. Well, there's a lot of hope. You offer hope. Now, when someone comes to see you, I don't know if this is a proper question to ask, but is it a lot of money to hire someone like yourself? What does it physically cost? Do you ask for, I won't say a down payment. I don't know the terminology because I don't see lawyers, but how do you work with someone that doesn't have a lot of financial means?
So the same answer, it depends. Some people come looking for a visa. There's no urgency. They know that they're coming here later on. Maybe they're here on vacation. I can work payment plans with somebody like that because making the visa packet might take some time depending on the visa that they're seeking. So I don't mind working with people on payment plans. And it's understood that once everything's paid, it will be sent to the embassy and they'll get their papers. Others come with a real sense of urgency. Somebody's detained, or the example that I gave you that keeps me up at night of somebody who might be facing deportation. Those are more complicated cases. Sadly, we don't have the capacity in my firm. We're a very small, all-female firm. So we don't have the capacity to do a lot of pro bono. We do, but we don't do all our cases pro bono. We do have resources that we can send to people who definitely can't pay. But people who can, what we do if you're detained, for example, and it's an urgent matter, we try to tell you, okay, this is the first step. We break it down for you. This is the first step to get you out of jail. This is how much it costs. This is the second step. We also admit we're human. So of course we will try to work with your circumstances. One thing I will warn everyone, we do charge consultations. It's just we've noticed many people book the appointment and then don't show up. And that's the only way I can guarantee that I am providing the service. We have many clients who need us, so we can't really have the luxury of meeting people free of charge or leaving me stranded when I need to serve other people. So that's the balance that we do. We basically work with each client. So it depends. Immigration can be expensive. There are many immigration fees, and it's very time consuming and expensive. Different from other lawyers, most immigration lawyers work with a flat fee. We don't do hourly. Hourly tends to be a lot more expensive, but it depends on what you're looking for.
What are some of the most common cases that people come to see you? What are the things that people that are coming to you for?
The most common cases we get here are family petitions. People that come and they're U.S. citizens and they want their brothers, their siblings to come in, parents, whatever. These cases used to be very simple. Going back to the changes, recently this administration added what we call the public charge rule. Everyone who comes to the U.S. must always show that they will never be a public charge. And that has been the law forever, since Bill Clinton and before. Now, before we used to show that by showing the income of the person that was bringing them in, and if they didn't have enough income, having a co-sponsor. Now that's not enough. Now we have to show that the person coming in speaks English, has a degree, has enough assets, doesn't have enough liabilities. And that has made a very simple petition a lot more complicated. So it turned something that maybe people were doing on the side into something that now they definitely need an attorney. That's the most common. The second, which is actually something we greatly enjoy, are investor visas. And I like those because I like to help the economy in this country. And those are individuals from abroad who want to invest in the US and create jobs and open businesses, but they need a visa to do so. I help them do that. And then the last one, which are the sad ones, would be the removal cases, people who might be in court proceedings or fighting in jail. We do those as well. Those are the three main categories we see in this office. But we see them all. We like to do all immigration.
Beautiful. Can you tell us some of your success stories?
Well, a recent one, which we were sharing a little bit before we started recording, I recently had a client who has been my client for over 2 years, who became a citizen. And I guess I failed to realize that it had been 2 years that we've been dealing with it until she mentioned it to me. She brought it to my attention during her swearing-in ceremony. So that has been a great success story that I was very proud. Time flew. I thought it was only a couple of months that she had been my client, and she made me realize it was a lot longer. Similarly, I also had another great story in which my client had been fighting for years to get a green card for her spouse, and we were finally able to do that. Those have been my two greatest success stories of the last month, and I'm very glad to share them with you because it has been an ordeal and really hard to achieve, but very worthy.
Beautiful. Can you tell us, how can people find you?
Well, we're available online, of course. People can always call me. My phone number is 305-938-0676. You can find us online. Our website is isalawyers with an S at the end.com. And we're on social media under the name Isa Law PA. So you can see my pictures on Instagram, the testimonials that people may leave, and same thing on Facebook. It's the same name. So look for us.
You have been so lovely. You have shared so much wisdom. And for folks who are wanting a great immigration lawyer, you definitely want to see Isa Velazquez.
Thank you so much.
You are fabulous. And I want to thank you so much for joining us today for another edition of Dead Air Live and Somerville Connects. And Isa, thank you so much. You are terrific.
Thank you for having me. It was great.
Okay, bye for now. Thank you, folks.
Somerville Connects. Somerville Connects.